all right? What is your variable? Multiplication of, and then is your equals. Once you see that your numbers are on two different sides of the equation, you are going to divide, all right? If they are on the same side of the equation, you're going to multiply, all right? The number that is over here by itself with the on the equal sign, that's going to be your numerator. So you're going to divide both of these by 133 to solve for that x. So 104 divided by 133. You should get something like this, 0.7819, and he keeps going, okay? If it asks for percent, you then must change this to percent. If you are using your calculator, just multiply by 100, okay? If you're using your calculator, multiply by 100. That's going to move that guy over 2 decimal places, and you will have something that looks like this in your calculator, all right? At this point, you need to round to 1 decimal place. So use your rules of rounding. I want to round this place setting right here, which means I'm going to look at this guy right there. He is 5 or more. That means I'm going to round up. 4 or less means I stay the same. I say that because some people think you round down. You don't, okay? 5 or up rounds up. 4 or less stays the same. Okay, so in this case, the 9 is greater than 5, which means the 1 is going to round up, which is where I'm going to get 78.2%. 78.2%. All right. The question was, what if this had been 78.99? Well, this 9 would round this guy up, which would make it a 10 technically, which would round this guy up. So it'd actually be 79.0% had that been 0.99. This specific question was saying what percent, which means your answer needs to be in percent, okay? This next question is not asking for a percent. They handed you the percent. Your answer is your answer. You will not multiply by 100, okay? So for this one, we're going to use the same process. 104, I'm going to say 104 is, that means equals 94%. Here is where I need to change it. I don't want to put a percentage into my equation. So I need to change that from percent to decimal, which means I need to technically divide by 100 or move that decimal over 2 places to the left. So I'm going to change that to 0.94 of, that's my multiplication. What is my variable? All right. Again, in this situation, they're on opposite sides of the equal sign, so I am going to divide. I always divide by the one that is with my variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.94. So in your calculator, you're going to put in 104 divided by 0.94. That's actually going to be greater than 104. If you're dividing by a decimal less than 1, it's going to go up. And so in this case, you're not going to multiply by 100, but you will round. All right. So when you divide that, you will just take whatever number it is and round that 1 decimal place by looking at the one next to it. 5 or more rounds up, 4 or less stays the same. Evenly?
1.63.
So this is going to be 110.63, and it keeps going. So since I want to round this one, I am going to look at that one. He's a 3, less than 5, so it stays the same, 6. These are your increase, decrease changes here. So from 36.8 to 50 is an increase, all right? Because you told me increase, you don't have to worry about which way you subtract. So you're not going to put positives and negatives here because increase tells me it went up. Decrease told me it went down. So by telling me that, you don't need a positive or negative. The increase, decrease actually tells me that information. All right. So I can just, my numerator is just going to be the subtraction of the 2 numbers. Just do the larger minus the smaller. That is your numerator. Your denominator is always the first one. Doesn't matter which one's bigger. It doesn't matter which one's smaller. The denominator is always the first one. So in this case, 36.8. All of these are percentages. So that means you will multiply your answer by 100 and then round to the nearest tenth, okay? So all of these are going to be percentages, so they all need to be converted to percentage when you're done, okay? Multiply by 100 after you do all of that, and then round to the nearest tenth. All right. 19 to 16, is that an increase or a decrease? That is a decrease. So you immediately want to tell me decrease. Then you're going to subtract 19 minus 16 is your numerator. What is your denominator? Always the first one, 19. Multiply your answer by 100 and then round. All right, 15.8% decrease. Tim is running laps on a track. Poor thing. He finished the first lap in 40 seconds. For the second lap, he managed to finish in 36 seconds. I can guarantee you Tim is faster than I am. What percent of his time was he able to shave off from lap 1 to lap 2? This is identical to what we just did. It's just written out with words, right? He started out at 40. He went to 36. What happened? Well, he decreased his time, right, by 4 seconds, but they want to know the percentage. So you're going to do exactly the same thing we did on the other one. You're going to say subtraction of the 2. That's my numerator. What's my denominator then?
36.
40 is always where he started. So always the first one, okay? So always the first one, 40. All right? Now that's going to be 4 over 40. They were kind of nice. 4 over 40 is 1/10, which is, I just happen to know that one is 10% decrease. Okay?